Hello everybody, let's take a look at the market chaos over the past 2 weeks, Bitcoin dropping to new yearly lows, the downfall of Terra and much more. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ralik. I'm an investor in the crypto and stock markets with over 5 years experience in the public and private sectors. I run a portfolio over at eToro, so feel free to check me out there. My handle is Ralik. All the links will be in the description below too. So, what happened over these past few weeks? Well, I would say the majority of the drama that we've been seeing has happened over the past few days, actually, and that is what can only be described as the absolute chaotic downfall of Terra and the UST stablecoin. This essentially started with the depegging of UST and resulted in Luna absolutely falling through the floor, dropping from over $80 to what's it at now, like less than a penny. It is absolutely insane. What I can do is actually just bring that up for you guys quick. So if we're taking a look at what is going on here, let me just hide that as well. So UST is currently trading at about 16 cents or just below 16 cents. And it has been struggling a lot over the past week or so. It initially started with the depegging and then has significantly gotten worse to a point where I don't really know if they'll be able to get that peg back. It doesn't look like it'll ever be one-to-one with the dollar again. And honestly, I think the majority of the community has lost a significant amount of trust in their ability to regain this peg. Taking a look at Luna's price, it is even worse with, as I mentioned, it dropping from around $88 all the way down to where it currently is, and that is essentially worthless. So anybody who had any money invested in it, that's pretty much gone now. From what I've seen over the past day or two, it looks like Luna has also been removed from a significant number of exchanges, and the trading on the transactions on the chain have also been completely halted. So there's a lot of rumors going around in the community as to what was the cause of this, what resulted in such a tremendous decline in the price. And honestly, I don't think any of it really matters. The fact is that it happened. Now, there was I'd say a lot of anticipation as to what Kwan's reaction would be regarding this when the initial crash started to take place. He said that they were working on a response, that they were working on a recovery plan. And then on the 11th of May, he released essentially the recovery plan. And I don't know about everybody else, but it was a little bit lackluster, a little bit underwhelming in terms of their overall response. Many people were hoping for some type of partnership in order to inject a significant amount of capital into the ecosystem, and it doesn't look like that actually happened. So as a result, it essentially looks like just an absolutely astronomical amount of Luna needs to be minted and has been minted over the past few days, essentially rendering it worthless. Some massive influencers and investors in the space have lost a significant amount of money. Fortunately for us in our portfolio over at eToro, we had a very small position in Luna. I purposefully opened a small position in Luna before all this drama happened due to its insane bull run over the past year or two. So that resulted in me with my own personal portfolio before it was available on eToro. Fortunately, I also had a very small position there due to profit taking at around about the $110, $114 mark. So I was happy overall that I did manage to make out with a profit with regards to Luna, and that the overall impact wasn't as negative both on me as well as the copiers over at eToro. So we had around a 1% position in Luna, and that dropped by 99.99% of its value, and also resulted in me closing out that position. The main reason for me closing it out was so that any new copiers who were coming into the portfolio weren't going to open that position at the same exposure value. Ultimately, it's unlikely for those funds to have ever been recouped anyway. So I didn't really see a point in keeping the position open for the current copiers, as it was sort of just a lose situation for any new copiers joining the portfolio and a neutral situation for any existing copiers. Since then, eToro has actually come out and released a statement around that. So what I can do is bring that up now and sort of show you what they did decide to do. There was an announcement that came out a few hours after this position was closed, and I'm kind of glad that it did take place because trading has been halted on Luna. So I'm not even sure if anybody who currently has a position will be able to sell it. Meaning anybody who gets stopped out with a copy might not be able to get those funds back. I'm not entirely sure right now if that is the case, but I would assume so with the fact that it has been delisted from majority of exchanges. So eToro released a statement here saying, important announcement, we have taken the decision to disable Luna on eToro due to market conditions. Existing client positions remain unaffected. Now, this has gotten quite a lot of engagement with over 200 likes and 1,700 comments. Anybody who's on eToro knows this is an astronomical amount of engagement on a post. People just going absolutely crazy sort of in the comments. And I don't think a lot of the retail investors really sort of understand the magnitude of the situation. I am glad that they disabled trading. I think it is dangerous. Right now it is seen as a complete gamble of a trade where your entire position can be wiped out in the matter of seconds. So I think that was the responsible thing for eToro to actually do in the end. So I'm glad that they did make that decision. And I'm kind of glad that I also got out of that position before it was delisted from a lot of exchanges too, as any copiers who did get stopped out of the copy might not have been able to sort of get back in, and would have been in a situation where their funds are sort of kept in limbo. So I know there's been a few cases like that in the past of positions that you can't really trade. A good example of that, I think, is nickel, where I don't even know if that market's still open since it was closed. I haven't really checked it in a while. But otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, what has really happened with this situation on the global crypto scale, it has definitely had a negative impact on the entire crypto market. One of the responses that the Terra Foundation essentially had was to dump all of the Bitcoin that they had purchased, which kind of further exacerbated the situation that we saw in the Bitcoin market. And as a result, with all the drama that we saw unfold, Bitcoin did actually reach a new yearly low yesterday of around $25,400, somewhere in that region. This also led to Ethereuem dropping as low as $1,700, which is never a good thing either. But since then, we hit a significantly oversold RSI, and we are looking like we're having somewhat of a relief bounce today. Will this relief bounce be sustainable? I don't know. I don't think anyone can really tell what the outcome will be. So what I will say is be careful if you're in these markets right now. If you're looking for short-term gratification or trying to catch these falling knives all around us, I would maybe consider taking a step back and not trading emotionally, and especially not trying to chase losses. I would imagine that this whole Luna situation has negatively impacted a lot of people who try to sort of catch the falling knife of Luna, and then resulted in losing 100% of whatever they used to buy that dip. So in these conditions, it's often better to wait for a significant turnaround, wait until the market stabilizes before re-entering. And if you're a long-term investor looking for like a 5 to 10 year time horizon, then it never really hurts to buy the dip on more of the sustainable projects. I wouldn't personally really be looking at anything outside of the top 10 in terms of crypto right now, and even closer to that, maybe not really looking at anything outside of the likes of Bitcoin, Ethereum. Maybe if you're feeling very brave, things like Polkadot, Atom, and so forth. But otherwise, it is very risky to sort of go into alts right now, especially with the insane amount of volatility that we are seeing. In other news, I have seen quite a lot of copiers on eToro getting stopped out of the copy over the past few days. So if you are copying my portfolio, or if you are copying anybody else's portfolio, please take the time to review the stop losses set in place. For those of you who don't know, there's a default stop loss put in place of 40%, and the majority of popular investors, especially trading in the tech sectors, are sitting at around a 40% drawdown right now. So be careful of that. Maybe review it. If you would like to sort of ride out this wave, then potentially drop that stop loss lower, and just ensure that you do review the entire situation too. On the other hand, maybe if you are copying various popular investors and you haven't looked at the app in a while, take a look at your portfolio. Make sure you are still in those copies if you want to be. I've seen a few messages of copiers being stopped out, not actually realizing that they were stopped out of the copy, and as a result have missed this relief bounce that we're experiencing today. So if that is you, then yeah, just be very, very wary. I'm not saying that this is the turnaround of the market, but it definitely will hurt if this is the beginning of that turnaround and you essentially got stopped out of the bottom. So just things to sort of consider on your journey on the platform as a whole. The next thing I maybe just want to touch on and potentially end off with is sentiment around the market. So things have been absolutely crazy over the past few months. Investor sentiment is at, I would argue, a complete all-time low right now. The amount of capitulation that we've seen is insane. People just feeling completely disheartened, and that there's sort of no turnaround and that this is the end. That's normally a good sign that we are at a bottom. Whether it is the bottom, I'm not sure yet, but it's generally a good sign that we are at a bottom. Now, what this could potentially mean is a turnaround in the market, or the start of a turnaround in the market. If that is the case, definitely be on high alert. These are the conditions that create the opportunities for the future. I've seen a lot of comments during the previous bull run saying, I wish I got into Bitcoin at 30K. I wish I got into Bitcoin at 25K. If only I had bought Ethereum at $2,000. We're back at those levels. The main reason a lot of people were able to make those significant gains were the fact that while everybody else was selling, while everyone else was fearful, while everyone else was exiting the market, they were entering the market. This is how I was able in 2020 to make a significant gain in crypto. It's when Ethereum was trading at ridiculously low levels of around $120. I think it actually dropped below $100 at one point. That's when I was accumulating. And it's sort of a lesson for everybody to potentially take away is, I'm not saying you should deploy your capital right now, but what I am saying is maybe it's a good time to start looking to deploy your capital soon. Just constantly keeping your finger on the pulse in the market, waiting for the opportunity once a turnaround does occur. So be vigilant right now. There's that common saying, when everybody else is scared, or when everybody else is fearful, that's when you should be paying attention. And when everyone's sort of kept swept up in the hype, that's when you should be fearful. So something along those lines. I'm not really good with quotes, but yeah. Otherwise, when we do eventually get through this slump in the market, and we eventually will, it always does happen. It always has happened. And most of the time, past experiences are not indicative of future results. However, the market tends to like to recover and tends to like to always reach new all-time highs. It has never not happened. So that's just something to keep in mind too. When we get to the end of this, you'll be able to look back and say, I survived the 2022 market crash. That might happen still in 2022. It might take until 2023, but I am very, very confident that it will happen. It's just when it happens, that's the condition that's up for debate. So be wary of sort of your risk tolerances. Don't go too crazy. Try not to chase losses and get too emotional in these current conditions, and stay strong, because the market turns around. It always has, and it likely always will. So yeah, let's get this through this absolute storm together. Don't do anything rash. If you have lost a significant amount of money too, it's normal. It's part of the experience. It's part of being an investor. So just try stay away from leverage and don't do anything silly. So otherwise, thank you for everybody who has been supportive over the past few days, as well as everybody who has left the very nice comments on my previous videos too. But yeah, until next time, thank you everyone. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe and drop a like. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one, and peace.